I don't usually post things like this, but tonight has left me so restless that typing it out feels like the only way I'll even have a chance of falling asleep. I'm a 27-year-old male, and my best friend is a 26-year-old female I'll call Lisa. We've known each other for almost a decade now. We met in college when I sat in the wrong lecture hall on the very first day, realized my mistake halfway through, and tried to sneak out quietly. Of course, I tripped over someone's backpack in the aisle. Elle laughed so loudly at me that the entire class turned. Instead of being embarrassed, I ended up sitting next to her, and somehow that turned into years of friendship. Since then, we've been through everything together. Roommate phases, study sessions that ended in delirious laughter, surviving terrible jobs, and comforting each other after breakup. We've been the duo. People often joked that we were like an old married couple, but we always laughed it off. Friends, that was our line. Or so I thought. Earlier today, she texted me, "Hey, I got a bookshelf from IKEA. Wanna help me before I accidentally build a chair instead?" I almost said no, I'd had a long day at work, but I could hear her voice in that message. Teasing, half serious, half begging. So of course I said yes. By the time I got to her apartment, the box was already ripped open. Wooden planks were spread across her living room like a crime scene, screws rolling dangerously close to disappearing forever into the carpet. She was sitting cross-legged in sweatpants, hair tied up in the messiest bun imaginable, with an Allen wrench in her hand like it was a sword. And even then, even in that casual mess, I caught myself staring. She grinned at me when I walked in. Finally. I was about 5 minutes away from throwing this entire thing out the window. I grabbed the manual and sat beside her. You know these instructions are basically riddles, right? There's no way this is supposed to make sense to normal people. We bickered like we always do. She teased me for mixing up parts, I teased her for dropping screws. At one point she smudged dust on my cheek, declaring, "Now you're officially part of the mess." Usually, our banter felt playful and safe. Tonight, though, every brush of her hand lingered longer in my head. Every time our knees bumped, I felt a weird spark. I tried to ignore it, focus on aligning the shelves, but my brain wouldn't shut up. At one point, she leaned over me to grab a plank on my other side. Her hair fell forward, brushing my arm. I swear, for just a second I forgot how to breathe. She didn't notice. She just huffed and muttered, seriously, "These things are designed by sadists," and went back to measuring. But I noticed. I noticed the warmth of her skin so close to mine. I noticed the faint smell of her shampoo. I noticed the way her face looked in the glow of her lamp, more golden than I had ever let myself register before. And then she said, almost casually, "This feels like one of those couple activities. Like, moving in together or whatever." She laughed right after, but my hands froze on the screwdriver. I laughed too, but my chest felt tight. Did she mean anything by it? Or was she just making a throwaway comment? That one comment opened a floodgate in my head. Suddenly, I was replaying every memory we'd built together. Like the time I had the flu and she showed up at my place with soup, a thermometer, and a stack of my favorite movies. She stayed until I fell asleep, even though she had work the next morning. Or the night she got her heart broken and cried on my shoulder until her shirt was damp. I held her until she laughed through her tears and said, "If only I could just marry you and be done with it." She had been joking, but not entirely, maybe? Even at a friend's wedding, when we went as each other's plus ones, people kept asking if we were dating. We always denied it, but I remember one photo from that night where she was laughing mid-spin while I held her hand on the dance floor. That photo is still my phone wallpaper. I told myself it was because it was a good memory. But maybe it was more. Somewhere in the middle of balancing shelf panels and fumbling with screws, it hit me like a truck. I love her. It wasn't some dramatic revelation, It was quiet but undeniable, like the way dawn sneaks up on you and suddenly the room is filled with light. I love the way she rolls her eyes but can't hide her smile. I love how she sings loudly and badly while cooking. I love how she always notices when something's off with me, even if I don't say a word. And as soon as I admitted it to myself, everything about tonight changed. We finally managed to get the bookshelf upright. It wobbled slightly to the left, but we stood back and admired it like we'd just built a skyscraper. She flopped onto the couch, exhausted, and I joined her. Without thinking, I stretched my legs out and ended up with them draped across her lap. She didn't move them. Instead, she leaned her head on my shoulder. And that was it. That was the moment. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure she could hear it. She sighed softly and said, "Thanks for helping, you're the best." I wanted to say, "You're more than that. You're everything." But the words stuck in my throat. Now I'm home, staring at the ceiling and typing this out. I can't stop replaying every second. Do I tell her? Do I risk it? What if she doesn't feel the same? What if I ruin the best friendship I've ever had? But also, what if she does feel the same, and I never give us a chance? I don't know the answer yet. Maybe I'll find the courage tomorrow. Or maybe I'll keep building shelves and excuses until one of us says it first. All I know is that tonight changed everything.